Hello folks, my name is Greg Delane. I'm the broker and owner of G. Delane Real Estate. I started my real estate career back in 1994. How long ago was that? These were the cell phones then. Here's how thin they are today. I developed this show because I believe that experience is the difference. My guests are experts at what they do. We come together to help make your real estate experience more pleasurable and profitable. Let's get started. Enjoy the show. Okay, hello folks, and welcome to Real Estate Q&A with Greg Delane. I'm your host. Today, it is the 17th of November, 2015, and it's starting to get cold out here. Today, our show is going to be on something that has started to come up quite a bit in some of the properties I've listed and some of the families I'm trying to help, and I get these calls all the time. Our show today is going to be on reverse mortgages. You probably see quite a few of the advertisement with some actor that is well known, and you see him on the show, and it's a 30-second real quick bit, and it sounds so good that these commercials. I think reverse mortgages probably started about 10 years ago, and it gained momentum, where you see a lot of this now on TV, and you see quite a bit of them. You'll see them after, you don't see them after reality shows, you'll see them after shows that people at a certain age tend to watch. So what does that say that I'm seeing them? Anyway, you know, we're going to talk first about the good things I believe reverse mortgages can help you with. There are some catches there, though. And banks are in business, it's not personal, they're in business to help you and to help you get the dream of buying a new home, and you pay off your home, and everything works out and you live happily ever after. And every 20-25 years, new families move into the neighborhood. That house has done what it had to do, and now somebody else is going to raise a family in that house. And that's the great thing. But this reverse mortgage stuff, I've looked into it a little bit because there's quite a few people that I'm running into that went for the reverse mortgage, and it did not work out the way it was supposed to. Now, you can't blame the banks for everything. You can't blame the banks, although I haven't seen anybody go to jail yet that was part of the crash in 2008. And these people that are in positions in these banks that get payouts to walk away from these things after devastating this whole country with the mortgages and the stuff that went bad, and they were writing stuff that wasn't worth the paper it was written on. I've yet to see somebody from some of these big banks go to prison for what they did. They usually get buyouts and they walk away from the problems they caused, and they get paid for it, and that's insane to me. But that's just my thought. Let's go back to what I'm talking about, reverse mortgages. You know, if your house is paid for, and even if it's not paid for, it allows you to get the equity in your home. Some of it can be paid up front. Some of it is paid over a period of time. You can get an income stream for the equity of your home. And for that, it can solve a lot of problems that you might have. First things first, though, it's a great way to get instant income. It is a great way to sleep well at night because now you have an added income, and for whatever reason that income might be there. I certainly understand refinancing and doing whatever you have to your house and drawing out as much money as possible if you're taking care of your child or if you're taking care of your parents. I think that when you're raised and you get to a point in your life, you're supposed to be taking care of your parents. And that's the way things, in my mind, are set that you should be doing. So there's good reasons to pull money out of your house. I got to tell you, I've been to a lot of people's homes that want to sell their house, and when I pull up to their house and they haven't done any big ticket items to the house, when I say big ticket item, that's, put a new roof, new furnace, redid both bathrooms, upgrade the kitchen, redo the whole outside, the patio, redo their house, the outside of it. When I ask people, what big ticket item have you done in the last 5 years to your house, and this is to help me understand what a buyer is going to see when they come in to look at a house, that kind of lets me know what we have to work with. And I'm not saying this happens all the time, but there's times I go to a person's house after they call me and say, Mr. Delane, I'd like to know the value of my house. Can you come by? And I ask them a few questions, ask them have they grieved their taxes, because you got to get as much stuff in place as possible. I get to the house and there's 2 brand new cars, Escalades and Mercedes, in the driveway, but they haven't done any big ticket items to their house. Listen, everybody lives the way they want to live, and that's fine. And if that's what you want to buy and that's what you want to drive around, that's fine. You're only here on earth for a cup of coffee. That's how much time you have here. You got a cup of coffee. So don't set your coffee down because somebody's going to throw a cigarette butt out in it. It's going to get cold. You got to enjoy your life. So if that's what you want to buy, if you want to have a big boat and you love the boat and you want to be out on the water 4 months out of the year, and then you have to dock your boat or take it out the water and have it in front of your house, that's fine. There was an old saying when I was growing up, the only difference between a man and a boy is the price of his toys. So, and this is just not men. Women do the same thing. They do certain shopping, and there's all kind of different things that cause you to do what you do. But when you retire and that steady income is not coming in anymore, you have to make changes in your life. You can't live at the lifestyle that you lived while you worked for 30 years, So your house is paid for. So you do a reverse mortgage. It's a great way to get some added income. Excellent. But things have to be kind of in place to do this. So being able to go back to the bank and you're actually selling your house back to the bank for a certain amount of money monthly, it's a great thing to do. Here, though, are some of the issues that I have with that. If you get a mortgage, okay, and you're paying interest rate, and the interest rate is locked in at 5% or whatever it is today, I don't know. You have to call your mortgage broker or your bank to ask, because it changes. And you get into a deal and you buy your house for $350,000, or let's say $500,000. You buy your house for $500,000, and you're on a 30-year mortgage to pay that off. At the end of you paying that house off, they used to have parties when I was a kid where people would burn their mortgage note or whatever it was, and there was like parties for this because the house is now paid off and it's yours. You wouldn't burn the actual deed. You would make a copy of it and they would celebrate and burn it. And you pay, and you got into this deal for $500,000, and you're on a 30-year mortgage. When that house is paid off after 30 years, you've probably paid close to $900,000, $850,000, because believe me, the first 10 or 15 years of you paying is only going to the interest. It's not going to the principal. And I remember my dad, when he was first paying off the house that he owns now, he would pay his monthly note of $2,000, but he would send in another $300 and write on that check, this is for the principal, not for the interest. Because the first 10 years of you paying your mortgage, the money going to the principal, the actual nut of the $500,000 is about that small. It gets bigger. It gets bigger, and after 10, 12, 15 years, all the money's going to the principal. But when that house is paid off, I guarantee you, you're going to be paying close to $750,000 or $800,000 over that period of time. Listen, the way the banking business does their thing, and I'm not mad at them for doing it. That's how it's done. Even today, you can't hit the lottery and pay off your mortgage and be done with. There's penalties for paying it off too soon. It is rare if you find a person's mortgage that doesn't have any penalties to paying everything off at one time now. The banks got away from doing that. I'd be surprised if you can find a mortgage thing that has payoff that doesn't include penalties and interest. They used to never have that, and now that's all they have because they're looking for ways to make money, and I understand that. So your house is paid off. You're 65 years old. It starts at 62. You're 65 years old. You're sitting at home and saying, I'd like to go play some more golf. I want to travel to Hawaii. I used to meet all my friends and we would go to California and hang out. And I don't have the income to do that anymore. Things are a little tight. I think I'll do a reverse mortgage. Okay, you can do it. You're the homeowner. It's your house. You paid for it. You can do it. Be careful. Speak to your attorney. Speak to somebody else. I think that's the way the banks kind of get you. It's like the older you get, the more independence you kind of lose. I know it was a tough thing for my uncle not to be able to drive anymore. It was a tough thing to not to be able to do certain things that you thought was your right and you were able to do it all the time. You get older, things change in your life. So I think the reverse mortgage kind of plays on a person that you don't have to ask your kids, your son, your daughters, anybody. This is what you own, and you can do it without anybody knowing, and you can have income, and this is the way you're going to do things. It really plays on your mind that, you were intending to leave this house for your family to the kids, but now you're going to do a reverse mortgage because you had a little fallout at the last Thanksgiving dinner, so nobody's going to tell you what to do. You're going to do it, and you're going to buy you a new truck, and you're going to do whatever you want to do. I think there's a lot of psychological play to that reverse mortgage stuff to make sure that you can do this. Let me just share with you that instead of doing that, maybe it's okay to sell that house. Get out from under that house note. And it costs to keep your house up. The reverse mortgage is not going to keep your house, your oil tank running, your furnace. You need a new furnace. You need all the things I talked about before, big ticket items. That reverse mortgage is not going to do that, and there's still upkeep to a house to living in it. So you get to a certain age, the best thing to do, you might want to just unload that house. Buy you something, downsize, because there are so many people that I know that you go to their house and I get ready to put their house on the market, and I say, well, is there any leaks in the attic and anything? And they say, well, they haven't been upstairs in that attic or they haven't been downstairs in that basement in 10 years. The older people get, what happens is that they start living in two rooms, their bedroom and the kitchen. Their living room and their dining room, it looks like a museum. It reminds me of when I was a kid, we couldn't run through there and play in certain parts of the house because that had to look perfect. And they only used it 2 or 3 times a year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. And if somebody flew in, a family flew in, they were going to stay with us a few days, then we could use it. And most of the time, everything was covered in plastic anyway. As you get older and you become an empty nester, you start only living in 2 rooms of the house, your bedroom and the kitchen. And that's just the way it is. I was telling my wife the other day, honey, I went upstairs to the top level of our house, and I hadn't been up there in 9 months. I said, what are we doing here? Let's downsize. Let's get something smaller. I don't want to heat and cool what's upstairs, and I'm not going to be up there around. We initially bought our house to take care of her parents or my parents in the event that we had to do that, and it was time, and I was financially able to do a lot of that then. Things have changed now. My parents are not coming out here. Her parents are fine, but it was we had the good thought of doing the right thing, and that's, I think, all kids that are helped from their parents and sent through school and all, your job is to make sure that the years that they're still here on earth, you're supposed to pay for things and take care of them. Now, everybody's different with that, you know. I saw some show the other day on TV. The person got old. They put them in a boat and pushed them out, and they just be free and pushed them in the water. So that's not the way things are going. That's not the way you do things. So there's good things for reverse mortgages, steady income, stream of money. But let me just share with you that they're not going to pay you back the way you paid them over 30 years. Big difference. Now, if you were just taking, say your house is worth $500,000 and you want to take $2,500 a month income to come back to you, all right? In a year, that's what, $30,000 they'll give you. So you're getting an income of $30,000, $2,500 a month. In 5 years, that's $150,000. So you do it for 10 years. That's $300,000 of money there into your house now. 5 years is $150,000. That's just the money they're sending you. At $2,500 a month, 5 years, it's $2,500 a month. 1 year, that's $30,000. 5 years, that's $150,000. Now, there's interest and stuff connected to that. Also, if you decide to move out, they can come after the house. You can't say, well, you know, I'm doing all right and I got something. You better stay in that house. And your spouse does not have the ability to stay there if something happens to you. So if you're going to get a reverse mortgage, make sure your spouse, whoever else is on that you expect to stay there the rest of their life, they have to be on that reverse income document. Because if your wife gets it without you being on it, and she leaves here and transfers over and passes on, you got to leave the house. I believe reverse mortgages are great if you own more than one property. If you own more than one property, yeah, stay in it, get as much as you can, and then move on. But I think it plays on seniors' mindset that you don't have to move. Just stay in the house. Keep living the way you do. Just walk outside and you can wave at Mrs. Jones and Mr. Brown and see the people going to school. I've been here so long, I love being here. You know, things change in life. It might be better for you to sell the house, buy you a condo on one level, meet new people, pay it off, it's paid for, and the money, the difference in the money that you have, put in a trust account. You want to leave your kids something? Leave them $1,000 a month for 70 months. Leave them $70,000 that way, or leave them $100,000 that way. And if you want to give them $500 a month, and you're going to give them $100,000, that's 200 months. That's quite a long time. But don't be so attached to that house that you're going to get in a bad situation because you don't feel like moving. Downsize, get rid of stuff. You know, when you leave this earth, all you really take with you is your character and what people think of how you lived your life when you were here. All this stuff that you got around you, and I'm at fault here too, because there was a little hoarder in me coming out. And my wife, God bless her, has saved me from that, because all these things can imprison you. Stuff, you know. Oh, no, don't get rid of that. I know somebody that can use that. That's a hoarder's favorite line. I know somebody that might be able to use that. Get out of here. You know, one of my friends had a yard sale because he had sold his property, and he's down in South Carolina now. And he had a big yard sale, had signs everywhere. And everybody that came by for the yard sale, because he had a lot of good stuff out there. You know how much he was charging for his stuff? It was free. Just take it off the property. You have to be able to remove it. People would come and say, wow, that's a nice desk and a chair. How much? He said, can you get it out of here now? Take it. And he, you know, and guess what? It served its purpose. It was here for long enough, and he got rid of it. All right. 5 reasons to avoid a reverse mortgage. Let's look at this. Number one, the fees are often high. You think that, well, they're going to give me 250,000. They said my house is worth 400,000. So they're going to take 250 and send it to me each month, and so that looks like I can live here forever. Yeah, but they're not. It's not the same way you borrowed the money from them that they're going to pay you the money for your house. They're putting on the same kind of interest rates and things to that. And it is compounded if you don't do the right thing and get out of there on time or leave or pass over. The interest rates are extremely high. You know what you're doing? You're buying your house back again from the people that you borrowed money to buy it from the first time. It can take 5 years for them to get into your house at $250, $2,500 a month. 5 years, that comes to $150,000. Don't think that there's not going to be interest, compounded interest, and that nut is going to not be just 150. They're going to be up around 2.25 by the time 5 years passes. And they're going to offer you some money up front. Oh, you want 10,000 to start, and then we'll say, you want 20,000 to start, and then we'll send you 2,500 a month. You can do that. Don't worry. The second they send that money to you, there's interest and penalties. There's interest, compounded interest on that money. It's not the same money that it took you forever to get. All right. So the fees are often high, and there's a high interest rate. Your heirs might not get the house. That's another thing. Believe me, they have an answer to, well, all I really want is 100,000 out of this. I would like to leave this to my children so that they can have something, and they need to pay a little interest. They need to pay a little note on it, and they can pay 100,000. Jesus, my daughter makes 80,000 a year, and my son makes 110,000 a year. So in 1 year, they can pay this off. It's not like that. If you want to really leave your kids something, that's great. They enjoyed the house. They grew up in it, and that's wonderful. But if you're going to put that house in a situation that you could lose it, why don't you just sell it, put the money in some trust, and let them get it over a period of time? They cannot break the trust. And again, I need all the money right now. No, you can put it in a trust, a rock-solid trust, that they can get a certain amount when they get to a certain age. And after they get to a certain point, then you can put some kind of stipulation that they can take half of it from that point on. But don't go back to the bank to work out a deal where you're going to start pulling down some money out of your house in a reverse mortgage, thinking it'll be fine. They can still only have to pay off $100,000. It doesn't work that way. You have to repay the loan when you move out. Say you decide, okay, I did 5 years and I did a reverse mortgage. My house is worth $500,000. I only got $150,000 from them at $2,500 a month for 5 years. That's $150,000. That's all I got to pay back once I move out. No. It's not like that. The bank's interest and rates are so high. So I'm saying this because I've run into quite a few families that I've sold their property in the last year, and they have reverse mortgages on it. And it is overwhelming what they've gotten themselves into if they would have known about these things first. My suggestion, and you don't have to call me, but you should call somebody, your attorney, and I think that's some of the things that reverse mortgages do. It's like, it's your house. Shh. You don't have to tell anybody. We'll send you $2,500 a month, and you can live there forever. Don't tell nobody. They didn't help you pay off this house. Wait a minute. Is there somebody coming? Don't tell nobody. You have the power and the right to do this. Just like, they made you sell your car because you couldn't drive anymore. You don't have to tell them if you want to do this reverse mortgage. I think that they ought to have some laws involved that make sure that the person that's doing it is competent and that his family knows, you know, because you put 30 years or maybe that house was left to you. Maybe somebody left you that house. If that's your only means of housing yourself and sheltering yourself, you need to talk to somebody. You really do. Have an attorney go over it. Go on the website and look up good reasons to do reverse mortgage, bad reasons to do reverse mortgage. Look that stuff up. Just don't hear the good things that they say, because they have professional people on these shows, on these commercials, that make it sound so great. And then, when you get in trouble with it, they play on the fact that they want you to be embarrassed and your shame and not feeling good about the move and you made a bad decision. Don't tell nobody. Then you're really in a rut. Believe me, you can call my office, you can call your attorney, you can call another real estate broker and ask before you put your house on the market, because then they're connected to the seller of that house. They're connected. So that's what I want to talk about. Reverse mortgage, good idea, bad idea, because I've run into quite a few families that it turned out to be a bad idea. Now, I challenge any bank to come on my show and explain that I don't know what I'm talking about. There is no bad downside to reverse mortgage. You're welcome to come on here. And I'd love for you to have more than 10 or 15 years in this business, because, as I always say, real estate in my business or in any business, experience is the difference. You say, why is that guy so good at what he's done? Experience. Why does that baseball player always bat at 300 and he's in a good place in his career? Experience. Experience is a difference. And you got to be able to ask the questions to understand what's going on here. All right? I think our show has been pretty good. I heard a couple of things that has been, and as I've gotten older, I'm 62 now. As I've gotten older, the things my parents used to say to me stand out so clear to me now. I thought they were just bothering me when I was a young man. Now, they stand out so clear to me. And one of the things I remember them saying to me is that, well, I didn't grow up in the timeout period where you go stand in the corner and you got spanked. And you just stood in the corner. I got spanked when I grew up. And I remember my parents saying that lessons will be repeated until they're learned. Because I would say, Mom, I'm not going to do it. Lessons will be repeated till they're learned. Listen, I hope you enjoyed this show and you got something out of it. Reverse mortgages, good thing or bad thing. I will be back next week. Visit my website, DelaneRealty.com. Thanks for the show, and I will speak to you soon. Bye-bye.